Viewers, as you know, today is day one. There have been quite a few challenges we faced in the morning. A lot of it, the center tells us, has now been ironed out. But people have queries. We've been inundated with questions and calls asking us about the processes. And so we decided to get a special guest on this broadcast to answer some of those queries, to clarify on some of those doubts as much as possible. We're trying to put out all the information that we have. So let's say hello and welcome to the Cowin app chief and also the CEO of the National Health Authority, Mr. RS Sharma, joining me right now. Mr. Sharma, thank you for taking the time out. Mr. Sharma, obviously for people, today is essentially day one of the vaccination drive and many of them still have questions about how can they go about it. Now, if you can just explain the fact that, the app is not meant for beneficiaries, we are given to understand. For beneficiaries, your registration option is either the website or the Arogya Setu app.
Yes, Tanvi, thank you very much for having me on your channel, and I'll be very happy to answer some of your questions. So one is, you are very right that we have not created any separate app. If you want an app, then Arogya Setu is the app for you. And there is an extension now on Arogya Setu, which is essentially vaccination extension. You can go to that and you can register yourself. You can schedule an appointment on that. So that's one option. Secondly, if you don't have a feature, if you don't have a smartphone, and if you don't want to use Arogya Setu, you can go to the cowin.gov.in, our web portal, and there also you find a facility to register yourself. So these are the only two, options for you as of now.
Mr. Sharma, in the morning, though, our reporters were traveling through vaccination centers, getting some live feedback from the ground, and there were reports of quite a few tech hurdles, both for the portal and for the app. How much of that have we managed to now iron out, and how do you see this playing out in the next few days?
Let me explain to you that there have been absolutely no tech hurdle whatsoever since the beginning. The very fact that 19 lakh registrations have taken place since morning, more than 19 lakhs. And if each registration is having about 2 people, because on one mobile phone, you can register 4 people. So even if you count 2, then 38 lakh people have registered themselves onto the system. So if there was some kind of technology hurdle or glitches, it could not have taken that many people. What has happened actually is, and I have inquired into this, is essentially people were trying some app which did not exist. They were trying some app which was meant for some other purpose, but which had the Cowin kind of thappa on it, so to say. So that was the reason why they were not able to register. So this, unfortunately, as always, it happens. Glitches is the first term which comes to our mind when we talk of a software. Yes. So that's why there was no glitches at all, let me assure you.
Could it also be like, and it is as it would be in any heavy traffic website, that on day one, out of excitement, almost everybody wants to log on, see how it's working, try and get in first, get a slot, whatever slot is available. Did that slow down the process? Is that something that you got as a feedback?
Not at all, not at all. The SMS was coming in a matter of a few seconds. That's one. Yes, in the beginning, there may have been some congestion on the SMS, pathway, but they must have been very temporary. When millions of people were trying at the same time, then sometimes it does happen. But besides that, there have been no issues. Even this slowdown doesn't mean that it was not working. It only means that the SMS, OTP came to you after 1 minute of your plugging in the mobile. So that's the only kind of thing. People nowadays want an extremely, even a 5-second delay on a portal is a very large delay. It perceives as a very large delay. So That's the only problem which must have happened. Otherwise, there's no issue.
Okay, no, because I know of some few people, and of course, I'm not going to take this as a larger story or a benchmark, because it's a very small percentage of people who would have faced it, saying that there was a delay in the SMS coming. By then, the website page had become invalid or wasn't going any further. But I'm going to keep that aside, Mr. RS Sharma, and ask you a larger question. People are also saying that, well, there isn't a fixed time slot that they're getting. Largely, you're told that, okay, this is the vaccination center for this day that you've chosen, and perhaps a time band, afternoon, forenoon. Is there a specific reason why we're not giving exact timings?
Well, I think as of now, I'm told we have instructed that it should be forenoon and afternoon. That should be coming, but it will depend on how though the hospitals kind of put out their timetable. If they want the time scheduling by hour, the people will be able to see that by hour. If they want to schedule by 2 hours, they will be able to see by 2 hours. So essentially, it will depend on how the hospitals publish their timetable. But going forward, I think it's a good idea that we should divide this so that there's no overcrowding at the center, and people are fairly distributed during the day.
Okay. The other thing, if you could shed some light on, is how does the data now get consolidated? Because obviously for this round, you've said that people who, and especially the elderly who may not be tech savvy, can walk in and get themselves pre-registered. Now, if the system is slow, we've got examples of in a lot of places where the authorities are noting it down and they will be punching it later. So how does the system from Arogya Setu and Cowin all together get consolidated?
Well, at the back end, everything merges or everything consolidates at the same time in a real time. So it's where whatever front end you come in, the data is collected at the back end at one place. That's number one. Number two is that as soon as you are vaccinated, immediately it has to be uploaded. This is a non-negotiable, thing, so that we immediately issue a certificate, and the person who has been vaccinated is given a digitally signed certificate. It is given a printed certificate. That certificate is also goes to his Arogya Setu app. It also goes in his digital locker, and it is also a link is provided so that he can download the certificate later. So the certificate is very important, because then he will be able to, on the certificate, if he is the first dose, then he will be told as to what is the date for the next dose and which vaccine has he been vaccinated with. Those details are all available. So this is how it happens. So there's only a single source of truth, and we in real time know how many people have been vaccinated, how many people have been given one dose, how many people have been given 2 doses, and stuff like that.
Basis how it's gone on day one, Mr. Sharma, is there a rough path that you can chart out for me, numbers-wise, on how many do you think we will be able to now, register and vaccinate on a daily or a weekly basis from here on?
Well, I have been monitoring the performance of the portal, because that was the first day, and we were all very concerned about the fact that if there are glitches in the portal, then we will have huge problems. So I'm just monitoring the numbers who have registered on the portal, and the people who have got scheduled and all that. We are not watching the progress of the vaccination which is happening at various centers in the country, but we can. So I can't give you the number of vaccinated today. That I think the Ministry of Health will be able to provide to you in the evening. But I can say that 1.9 million people have got registered on the system.
Okay, 1.9 million people have got registered on the system. The one query that we get very often, and if you can help us with that, for those who, many are asking, what about our second shot? Will it have to necessarily be at the same center, or do they have a choice of taking another one in case they are traveling?
Well, for your information, the system is absolutely citizen-centric. We do not expect that a person who has got vaccinated in Delhi, and suppose for some reason, for some work he is going to Trivandrum, then and going to stay there, we will not expect him to come back to Delhi to get second dose. Therefore, the system allows certainly anybody can get his second dose also anywhere. The only condition will be that he will be given the choice of going to those centers which are delivering the same vaccine which he had got in the first instance. So that's the only condition. Otherwise, he or she is free to get the second dose from any center of his or her choice.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. In fact, I think that's going to help a lot of people who've been wondering on this. Mr. Sharma, my last question to you before I let you go is on needing to get the word out. A lot of people today still were saying, we don't know where is the vaccination center, what center do we go through? Obviously, especially the senior citizens who are not very tech savvy. How do we get the word out to more people, and not just in cities, even in rural areas?
Well, one is that the list of vaccination centers is published on the Cowin website. It's available on the Health Ministry's portal. That's number one. So you can see the list of all the hospitals which are delivering vaccinations. Number one. Number two, when you register yourself, then and if you want to schedule appointment, then depending on when you enter your district or your state and your block and your PIN code, you are shown a list of hospitals in your area and their scheduled timetables as to which date they are vaccinating, which date they are delivering their services. That you can all see. So therefore, it's very easy. You can locate the hospital near your place and you can schedule appointment there.
Yes,
so
I think the problem is coming more from those people who are not able to get onto a website and are tech, not very tech savvy in that sense, and they are now really speaking to each other and asking each other that.
No, what I'm saying is that the list is available, and I'm sure the state government shall be publicizing the list of hospitals where these services being offered. So that I think, because the state governments are the one who are working in the field and actually helping people to get vaccinated. They are the ones who are providing vaccinations to the private hospitals. They are the ones who are helping them to set up their sessions. So I think that word will certainly go out. And we have a downloadable list on our website, and all of you guys in the media should also publicize the list of vaccination centers which are available at various nook and corners of the country.
Indeed, Mr. Sharma, thank you so much for giving us your time and taking our queries. I'm sure this will also help resolve some of the questions that our viewers have had as far as the vaccination process is concerned.
Thank you very much, Tanvi, for having me on your channel. Thank you.
Well, there you go. So you heard it from the Cowin chief, the CEO of National Health Authority, Mr. RS Sharma. Let me quickly take you through the key highlights. Number one question and clarification that is very essential. We've been telling our viewers through the day as well, is that the Cowin app, if there is a Cowin app that you see on your Play Store, or if you've downloaded, don't bother. That's not for you at all. That may be for other administrative purposes. If you want to register, you can use your Arogya Setu app, or you can go on the Cowin portal, or you can walk into the nearby vaccination center. Where do you get the list of the vaccination centers? The list is available on the government website, on the Health Ministry website. You can go there, put in the details and get the list of vaccination centers around your area. These are also available on the portal website as well. When you start off your vaccination process, that choice will be given to you. Thirdly, if you are one of those who's concerned that what if you have to travel, what if you are in another part of the country, well, the website and the portal does give you an option where you can take this follow-up dose, the second dose, in another location. So once you're registered, you are in the system, your details are there in the system. After the first dose, the process will be made available to you to maybe schedule it in another location. 19 lakh people have managed to register on day one. This is the data, this is the first statistic here that we are getting from the chief of Cowin itself, Mr. RS Sharma, telling us that 19 lakh people registered today. How many, of course, got vaccinated is something we will have to wait and see, and that data perhaps by evening the Health Ministry will be able to give us. Thank you so much for joining us for this special conversation.